I feel like that's probably why hundreds of thousands of people left. Vegans are dropping like flies, and there are reasons for that that go way beyond nutrition. I'm gonna go places where vegans don't usually go because they're just gonna get criticized for it, but you know, at this point I really don't give any shit. By speaking in this way of actually being critical of some of the biggest vegan arguments is a positive thing. Number one, remember when you're watching this, I am vegan myself. Have been for like way before I started YouTube, probably like 7 years now. I don't know. So obviously I stand for it, I stand by it. I've never deviated from it, and there's a reason for that. It is a simple thing that people should be focusing on. But to get there and to realize what this is actually about, people need to cut through so much crap, so much vegan propaganda. And I feel like in 2023 it just needs to stop, because without the bullshit there wouldn't be so much flippity floppity backity forthity. My goal is not to tell people that if they're not vegan then they're a bad person and blah 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 blah. Not at all, but I do want to help those that want to go vegan or are vegan and want to stay vegan. So just sit back, sit in your place. And just a reminder as well, because I don't even for my regulars, you know, I don't often center videos around veganism much. You know, it is a big part, well, it's not a big part of my life, it's just a part of my life. It doesn't identify me, which is, I think, a big problem for some people, which we'll get into. And when I see problems going on with that, and people really struggling with things that should be very obvious, then I'm going to be here to unleash, okay? And I'm also going to admit I'm going to be a bit of a bitch in this video, but it's for a good reason. A really important part of all of this, which is where most people get lost, is personal integrity, your own morals and values, and why you're really doing this, you know? Regardless of what anyone else is doing in the world, you're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it because you believe it to be right. Because the thing is, right, that's the underlying factor. If you don't have that, you will fail. Point number one, I'm fed up, right, of people falling and spreading ridiculous vegan propaganda. And I personally think that this has been the biggest problem in the kind of rise, I would call it the rise and fall of veganism, because I feel like we have to ask ourselves, why is it that veganism has such a shit retention rate, right? Why is it? It can't just be because people decided to stop caring about animals. It can't be just because everyone felt so unhealthy when they were eating a healthy, balanced diet. Like, it can't be either of those two things. Link down below. I have decided that this year, as a dedication to all of my followers, I will be making a reel of every single recipe in my ebook. So later in the video, when I talk about nutrition and stuff like that, so you have an archive of delicious recipes that you can rotate, and yeah. So I mean, I could say to you all, buy my ebook down below and I'll earn money, but I'm not. I'm saying just click Instagram and you'll get it for free. Such a martyr. Watch me ascend. You know, a lot of people come to veganism because of stupid things they've believed from books. And the one that stands out to me the most, and I read it in nutrition college, and to be honest, you know I'm that kind of person. My mind cannot be swayed, right? I'm such a stubborn person. It's a mental illness, I fully own it. Even I was so persuaded by these books at the time. And again, the one that comes to mind, because it's promoted so much as like the most comprehensive study on nutrition of all time, the China study. And the thing is, it's so convincing, right? When you understand that it's written by a very intelligent man. It's based on whatever they say, however many years of research. They're studying other cultures, like everything about it makes you want to believe everything about it, right? And again, the argument for that book isn't even an ethical one, it's a health one. The answer and the delivery of that book is that everyone should be vegan, and it's arguing for a fully vegan diet, and specifically a low-fat vegan diet. Like, you don't even have to like do any digging. It's kind of like right there in the book that they weren't even studying people that were fully vegan. Yes, they ate a plant-based diet. Yes, they ate a low-fat diet. Yes, they ate a high-carb diet. Yes, they ate a load of rice and veggies and all that kind of stuff. But they weren't 100% vegan. For the most part, people in Asia, they don't just eat rice and vegetables, right? They're also eating small amounts of fish, of eggs, of meat, even things like pork. So I feel like not only is it just stupid, it's also just very misleading. I mentioned this book specific. I said that with passion. Book. What I'm saying is there are many truths in the book. But I've known so many people that have gone vegan because of that book, and then realize, oh, actually, this is completely flawed, and they do one, right? Again, if that's their belief system, and then they realize it's a flawed one, well, why would they stay? This brings me on to, and this is going to be a controversial one as well, Dr. Greger. And Dr. Greger, I love you. Like, honestly, I do. I love your work. I have nothing but respect for that man. However, let's not pretend that he also doesn't cherry pick. What I want you to take from this is that don't believe everything that you read. I think especially with books, you have to remember they will always have an agenda. A book is not a conversation between two people. A book is not a podcast. A book is telling you what it wants to tell you. When I say propaganda as well, it's this whole thing of like, people make these claims like, you can get more, you know, protein